it's me. This is a very spontaneous video. I've just come in from a little walk around the block just to stretch my legs. I've made myself a little hot chocolate, a hot chocolate with some vegan hot chocolate balls that I got for Christmas. It's the last one, sadly. But I thought I'd pop on and just film a bit of a chatty video because the last week or so I've had a few messages from, I presume, some of you guys, if you've still kept your subscription here. God, I'm finding it hard to talk. I think I'm a bit cold from being outside. Just saying that you missed my videos, which I haven't worried too much about coming back to YouTube because I presume no one would really notice I've gone or really miss any content. But I imagine you're at that stage of lockdown where you've probably gone through Amazon, gone through Netflix, gone through all the streaming services and perhaps run out. And then you're thinking, what else could I watch that I used to watch? Aha! So I thought I'd just come on and have a little bit of a catch up, really. I'm a bit worried this might be quite a flat video because I haven't really got a huge deal to share with you, I don't think. But then again, it's been so long since I've just had a chit chat and a catch up on here that maybe there is things that I've missed. So, last time I spoke to you, had I done my first aid for mental health instructor course yet? I'm not sure if I had or not, but during lockdown, first lockdown, or was it second? First lockdown, I decided that I wanted to gain a qualification in mental health. I've obviously been speaking about mental health and chronic illness for a number of years. Blue belt no. She's attacking the microphone on top of the camera. Another reason why I haven't been doing YouTube. Yeah, I've obviously been talking about these things, but always from an angle of personal experience, which is useful in some respects because it's personal. Everyone's journey is different, so if everyone shares a story, there's likely to be a story out there that kind of is similar to yours or reflects something you've gone through or is relatable to you. But my videos have never been steeped in, theory or perhaps, useful advice and helpful signposting and things like that, which maybe if you educate yourself in it, you might be better at. And I really wanted to do that. But I looked through lots of different ideas of how I could become qualified in mental health. I looked into things like becoming a counsellor, becoming a therapist, going back to uni, and all of them weren't feasible for me in my situation financially. But then I thought about the courses for first aid for mental health that are being done these days, and I thought, I'll take that course and see how I find it, see how valuable I find the information in it and go from there. So I did the 2-day course and I came out feeling just a lot more confident about being able to support people with a range of different mental health conditions and illnesses. And after that I thought, what, I would really like to be able to pass that on to other people. So from there I decided to look into, what it takes to become an instructor. And I decided to save to do that. Overall, it's cost quite a few £100, a lot, pretty much my savings to do it. But I thought it's a worthwhile investment and something I've always been passionate about, something I've always been interested in, and something that I think could be helpful to other people. So it ticked a lot of boxes. So later on in the year, obviously things were going to be done remotely instead of in person, which had its difficulties and challenges, but just to cut a long story short, passed the course, so I'm now a qualified teacher. To save myself some money, I did some courses separately rather than a combined course, which was a bit too expensive for me. So I did a separate teaching course and then the instructor course to become a mental health first aider instructor, which took me quite a few weeks longer, but saved me quite a few £100 to do it that way. So I'm now registered, a legit person to do it with, have all the certificates and everything you need. But now the barrier is to teach it, I obviously need an environment that is quiet and peaceful and safe for those doing the course. And right now the flat is very noisy. I've got the mad cat, I've got Si on the phone all day doing his work from home. So I can't teach the courses right now. I have explored other avenues, like the local library has rooms you can hire out to do the remote teaching, but unfortunately they're not doing it for COVID reasons as well. So I'm going to have to hold tight on the teaching for now, but once things return to some kind of normality, I will be spending a lot of energy focusing on teaching first aid for mental health. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in doing, just to cover it quickly, there's 3 levels. There's a very basic level 1 that takes a couple hours. There's a level 2 and then a level 3, which is the full 2-day course. And you learn about lots of different conditions in a bit more detail. So anyway, so that's happened. I did tell you guys about the podcast. So we're now on, I think, nearly episode 30, I think. And we haven't missed a week yet, which is a miracle really, considering the challenges that doing it remotely over Zoom has given us. So I just need a chocolate hit. Oh, that's really hot. I was too eager. So Kelly and I are still doing it over Zoom. I've also started to do some interviews. I've recently decided to start doing it in the loft because, again, the noise issue was just meaning I couldn't do it regularly, and it was becoming quite frustrating not being able to record when it was convenient to record. So now I'm doing it in the loft, probably making myself quite ill being in the loft. It's very dusty, full of stuff, quite dark, but the sound is passable. So, you know, you have to adapt in these times. So yeah, we're covering quite a lot of subjects over on the podcast. We've done imposter syndrome, fear, eating disorders, body image. Coming up, we've got postnatal depression. What else? Art therapy. I did a really interesting interview the other day that's not gone live yet with a mental health nurse. So I think that one will be a good one. Lots of things. But hopefully we're going to really try and cover as many different things as possible on there. And we're both really enjoying it. I think aside from what we hope the podcast can do, we just really like catching up together over Zoom. I think something we're missing a lot during this lockdown is that sense of connection. And, you know, I think if you're a touchy-feely person, you are missing that, and you can't get that from Zoom, but you feel a little bit closer to, you know, the people you love if you can see their gestures and their facial expressions and see whether they look radiant or whether they look like they're feeling down and you can help. I don't know. You know what I mean? They're slightly closer to feeling connected to people. So I got one of the messages I got said they would like more health updates, more DIY stuff, maybe stuff I'm reading, cleaning hacks, things like that. But do feel free to suggest to me anything that would be helpful. Maybe we do a Q&A and you can ask anything you like. I'm not coming back to YouTube because just doing Instagram takes up a lot of time and energy, because these days, you know, we've got Reels, you've got IGTV, you've got Insta Stories, all of that, and I have 4 accounts on there. So you can imagine that eats into a lot of the day, and YouTube isn't a platform in terms of a business that I support that much. So while I miss you guys, if you want content, do come over to Instagram because I am uploading a lot over there. But I will pop back every so often just to check in with you guys and see how you're getting on. What was I talking about? We're back to my old rambly ways, aren't we? Health, yes. So weirdly, for me, the last year and a bit, you know, while we've been in lockdown and during the pandemic, I've had quite a lot of appointments and things like that. Obviously, the majority of them have been over the phone or over Zoom, but we have made some progress, which is good considering everything. I feel very lucky that I've even had appointments and things like that going on, because I suspected they'd all be cancelled or put on the back burner for a bit. So I feel very fortunate about that. So in terms of joint related stuff, I've been having physio through the NHS. The first lot of physio was focused on my neck. I had an x-ray done and it did it did, I'm struggling to speak today, it did show some issues. So they've been focusing on that a little bit. Obviously, a lot of those issues have been exacerbated by the work from home situation and, you know, sitting badly when on the laptop and using the phone and stuff like that. Because a lot of us are in this position all the time looking down, which isn't good. So I have invested in getting myself a proper slanted desk. That just means that at least when I'm working, I'm sitting in a better position where possible. So yes, been doing that remotely over Zoom, and my physio is really nice, really helpful, and they've given me a regime that I'm meant to do most days. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'm just being honest with you. I try and do it as regularly as possible though. I am getting better at being a bit more regimented about it. And then recently the referral came through for physio for my lower back. Annoyingly, I said to her, well, really, it's my lower back that's actually a bigger problem than my neck right now. And she said, well, I can't put exercises into the regime till I get a referral through. So the process is always a bit longer than it needs to be. Common sense doesn't always prevail with these things, but we got there in the end. So now I am doing lower back exercises. And they're a bit more physical than the neck ones and a bit more physical than things that I've done for the last few years. It's a bit of a stretch, but I think it's a good thing. Hopefully it will give me more mobility, more flexibility, less pain. So I'm going to try and keep up with that. I'm going to try and keep up both regimes for the neck and the lower back as much as I can. Other health stuff, still exploring MCAS. I had the initial test for it, which is when they see if you've got elevated levels of tryptase or tryptase, which I did. So that gave the immunologist, you know, the go ahead to continue exploring this. And then she was a little bit worried that I had something called mastomytosis. I'm not good with the long names. Something like that. Anyway, so we had to do some gene testing. At the moment, she thinks that's unlikely from the results we've got so far, but she didn't say definitely not, she just said unlikely. But there's another condition she wants us to explore, which if it comes back as positive, I will let you know about that. But that one involves a research centre in Manchester, which unfortunately is currently closed due to the pandemic. So that won't be happening for a while. But it's still good that, you know, the thoughts are in motion and I'm in contact with, you know, the people that know what they're doing. I have an in-clinic appointment in March with the immunologist to work on the MCAS related stuff. In terms of POTS, I've also had a few consultations. He says definitely sounds like it's POTS in terms of, you know, the heart rate stuff that's going on, but at the moment he just wants me to add more salt into my diet and drink a lot more water and see how I get on. Doesn't feel like enough so far, but I will persevere with that, see if it makes a big difference. Yeah, I think that's about it on the health stuff. Again, like I said in my first kind of lockdown chatty video, I do think in many ways this lifestyle, not lifestyle because it's how I've been living it anyway, or tried to live for the last few years, but I think the lack of social events going on and the lack of things that I feel like I need to be at for work and that sort of stuff, the fact that I haven't had to stretch myself and push myself and commute all the time and things like that has really helped me. The fact that I can, you know, have a nap if I need to. Well, I say that, the cat has different ideas, but in theory, I could just look after myself a little bit better. And I'm just a little bit less stressed when it comes to work, shall I say. Don't get me wrong, there are new stresses and different stresses. For instance, this January has been so slow on the financial front. I've had a few things in this week, thank goodness, but overall, actually last 3 months have been pretty poor in terms of earning. But I think that's the nature of the time of year, but also the times we find ourselves in. I think a lot of businesses are budgeting differently, and just because they don't know what's happening, perhaps they're just being a bit more careful on their spending, which is completely understandable, but obviously it has a knock-on effect. lots of people advise me to start a Patreon page, which I have started, but I haven't shared it yet on anything because I'm still a little bit scared. I had a conversation with my friend who's a life coach, and she advised me on the pricing because I told her what I was going to set for the prices, and she said that's way too low. But I think this is my fear about it all. I'm just, because I've been doing free content for so many years, it feels very alien to start charging for it, even though there's some things you probably should have always been charging for, and there's no shame in charging for your time and your work, because it's out of the ordinary for me. It feels alien, and I've got to work on that. That's my thing. But yeah, that doesn't mean I don't welcome feedback though. If I do ever post it and share it, I'll tell you what I'm doing on it. So my thought is, at the moment, how it's structured at the moment is I have 3 tiers. One is if you want to have a one-on-one hour Zoom, and in that it can just be a chat. It can be related to mental health. I'm not a trained counsellor or therapist, so it's not a therapy session. But if you want kind of an unregulated, bite-sized version of one of the chapters of the course, for instance, perhaps you want to talk about how to support someone with, I don't know, anxiety, for instance, we could go through that part of the syllabus together. If you have something you want to talk through to do with your job, perhaps I can help you with that. Anything you want to talk about, really. It could be creative ideas. It could be, I could just be that person to bounce ideas off. So there's that option. And at the moment, I think I've got that at £30, which for a freelance rate is actually really low. But I understand in social media interaction basis that might seem a lot. I don't know. I don't want to put words and ideas in your head that's a lot. And then there's another tier that is a personalized meditation. So I can create a bespoke meditation. Perhaps you want it about a visualization meditation that is about a place you visited, or perhaps you want your name mentioned in it, or anything that you want that will make it as relaxing as possible for you and like personalized for you. And that is £50, because that takes a few hours of time for me, because I have to write a script, I have to source the music, I have to edit together. So that's a proper product. And I did look online, and others were around the £100 mark. So as a beginner, I feel that's kind of fair. But again, you don't have to order if it seems too much. That's fine. I already know that I'm being a bad businesswoman. I'm over explaining everything and being apologetic, and this is not the way to do it. And the other tier is for brands and businesses. You guys might not know this, but over the years I have been a consultant for different brands, and it can be anything from giving advice on social media, or giving advice on creative direction, art direction, helping them with promotional marketing concepts and that sort of thing. If you're an independent brand or a small brand, maybe you want someone to guide you or give feedback on your social media or things you could be doing differently, or just ideas for things. So for that, because you are a company, I'm charging a bit more. It would be £60 an hour, which again is actually really cheap for a consultant fee. In my line of work, it would have been a lot more than that. But because we're doing it through Patreon, it's a bit more of an informal thing, I guess, but still doing the same kind of thing. So yeah, that's there for businesses, and the other Zoom option is for more personal things. So that's what I'm thinking of launching. Again, Patreon is just for those people that want to get involved, and those that don't, they don't have to. There's no pressure. It could be a one-off thing, it could be a regular thing, whatever suits. But that's what I'm thinking of launching. Welcome your feedback on that as well, but be kind. I'm just learning. I think we're all trying to adapt during this time and find ways that fit with our ethos and what we do and our strengths and our passions, but is adaptable to the times we find ourselves in. So things that we can do remotely and things that could be useful to people during this time. So that's the ideas that I had. Bluebell the cat. I never posted the video of the day we adopted her, actually. I was going to do that, and that was about the time that I kind of fell out of love with YouTube, so that never went up, but she's very much the love of Sai and Mai's life. Obviously, us having kids is a big question mark, you know, for various reasons. But at the moment we are enjoying doting on her, and she is like having a daughter. She's that needy. I feel like I'm doing as much work as a mother would, although I'm sure people that have actually human children would say you don't have a clue. And you're going to get a shock if you think it's the same as having a cat. But Siamese cats aren't like any other cats I've ever met. They are like a mixture of a dog, a monkey. Her back legs are like a hare or a rabbit. And yeah, just such personality, so loyal, so needy. Did I say that already? Basically, she needs to sleep with me every night. She wants to be in my lap all the time. She gets upset when I leave her. It's a full-on job. On the most part, I absolutely love it. And it's so lovely that this little furry, beautiful creature loves you back. But yeah, it has hindered my productivity. It has hindered my ability to sleep. And she's very, very chatty. So it has its challenges. But she has been a little shining light during our lockdown year, and yeah, we wouldn't swap her for the world. Although ask me that tomorrow after another night of no sleep, when she decides she wants to sleep on my neck. Yes, Bluey, I'm talking about you. I think maybe I should be quiet for a little bit because I've rambled on for ages. But maybe if you leave me some comments below about what video I can do, and then I can do a bit more of a focused one. So you let me, maybe we do the first one as a Q&A. So any questions you have, specific questions, I can answer those. And then from there, you know, we can decide if there's another video that might be useful to you. I imagine this one's not going to be under the header of useful, because really it's just me rambling about myself for nearly 25 minutes. How self-indulgent is that? This is something I've noticed. I don't know whether you guys have noticed that when you have the opportunity to talk to someone, you are absolutely relentless. Like, I'm like a motor mouth. I keep talking over people. I can't get enough words out because I think I'm so starved of, you know, human interactions and catching up with girlfriends and that sort of thing, that when someone is listening, even if it's just a camera, I just let's say I just make the most of it. Let's just say that. I should have worked on the lighting for this, shouldn't I? Sorry I haven't made much of an effort. Like I said, I've just been for a walk. I'm just in my comfy gear today because I'm not filming any reels or anything for Instagram, and I don't have to take any posy pictures today. So it's comfort all the way. Yeah, I might leave it there. Sorry if this has been all over the place. I thought I had not much to say. It turns out probably there's loads that we need to catch up on. I hope you're all managing to keep your spirits high. I know it's really, really difficult, and it's a bit up and down, isn't it? Some days you feel you're coping, and then other days not so much. Before I go, I think there is a lot of things we can do in terms of looking after our mental health during this time, because I think a lot of us are consuming so much information that's negative and watching too much news and having too many conversations about what's going on, that sometimes you have to take action and go, okay, I've watched enough news today, I've done enough doom scrolling on my phone today, let's watch something uplifting, or let's do something that makes me happy, and just escape the grim realities for a bit. On that note, we did an episode on digital detox, which is actually a bit more like digital minimalism, but it might give you some tips on how to stop, you know, the obsessive scrolling on social media, which isn't always helpful, is it? So do give that a listen if that's something you're struggling with. I hope it helps. I'm going to go now. I keep saying I'm going to go, but I never go because I'm enjoying talking to you. Can you hear Sai in the background? Probably can, can't you? I will go. Cheers to you. Sending love. And I'll be back with a Q&A if I get enough questions. If I don't get any in, that's totally fine. But I won't do another video. I only want to be useful. And if I'm not useful, I'll put my energy where I can be useful right now. So yeah, please take care. Sending lots of love, and bye.